South America. For many travelers, the reputation is simple: long, expensive flights, overpriced resorts, and cities like Buenos Aires, where you'd need to sell a kidney just to eat dinner. But here's the twist: this continent is actually filled with some of the cheapest and most breathtaking adventures in the world, if you know where to look. By the end, you'll know exactly how to explore South America for under $50 a day. Flights, food, culture, and even digital nomad perks included. If you only take one thing from this video, let it be this: Uruguay is the quiet underdog of South America. Flights from Miami or New York City average around $600 to $750 round trip. Not the cheapest, but decent for the region. Daily budget? Around $55 to $65 a day, if you stick to guest houses and local restaurants. Safety-wise, Uruguay ranks as one of the safest countries in Latin America. Low crime, friendly locals, a calm rhythm to life. Its capital, Montevideo, has consistently ranked among the cities with the highest quality of life in South America. And Uruguay was the first country in the region to fully legalize cannabis, boosting tourism and foreign income. Picture this: sipping mate in Montevideo, wandering the colonial streets of Colonia del Sacramento, or hitting Punta del Este's beaches. It's calm, welcoming, and photogenic. But here's the part most people get wrong: they think Uruguay is too boring. In reality, it's the perfect budget-friendly beach escape, without the chaos of its bigger neighbors. Now here's the controversial part no one wants to admit: Chile is not the cheapest country on this list. But it earns a spot because of its value for money. Round-trip flights from the United States can be found from $550 to $700, especially to Santiago. Daily budget, around $50 to $60, with hostels, street food, and buses. Chile also ranks as one of the safest and most stable countries in South America. It is also the birthplace of Carmenera, a grape once lost in Europe and rediscovered here. Today, sipping a glass of deep red Carmenera for just a few dollars feels like drinking history, a story poured into your cup. From the Atacama Desert to Patagonia's glaciers, it's like visiting 5 countries in one. Hike, ski, surf, it's all there. Astronomers call the Atacama one of the clearest skies on Earth, and observatories here guide travelers through constellations visible nowhere else. In Patagonia, UNESCO-protected parks reveal glaciers collapsing into turquoise lakes, a spectacle that feels priceless, yet park entries remain surprisingly affordable. Would you actually try camping under the Milky Way in the Atacama? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments, because that's an adventure worth debating. We've all heard amazing stories about Argentina, but here's what nobody's telling you. Right now, this is a budget traveler's dream because of the peso's inflation. Flights average around $550 to $700 round trip from US cities. But daily costs? You can live on $30 to $40 a day, with steak dinners for under $10. Argentina is relatively safe in tourist zones, like Buenos Aires, Mendoza, and Patagonia. In Buenos Aires, tango is not just a show for tourists. It was declared intangible cultural heritage by UNESCO, and you can watch live performances in neighborhood for the price of a coffee. Wine lovers? Mendoza offers bottles for $3. The region is home to Malbec, a grape that Argentina transformed into its global signature. Visiting a vineyard here means tasting world-class wine, at prices unthinkable in Europe. Adventurers, Patagonia treks are priceless. National parks like Los Glaciares allow you to walk beside ice walls thousands of years old, with entry fees that remain surprisingly low compared to the scale of the experience. And Buenos Aires, a city of tango, culture, and endless nightlife. Its cafes and bookshops recall a golden age of literature and art, making every corner feel like part of a living museum, one you can explore on a budget. Ecuador is proof that big value comes in small packages. Flights average around $450 to $600 round trip, especially from Miami. Daily budget? About $35 to $45 a day. Cheap hostels, local buses, and filling meals for just $3. Safety? Quito's Historic Center and Cuenca are both considered safe tourist hubs. And here's a surprise. Ecuador uses the United States dollar. No exchange rate headaches. A major plus for long stays, retirees, and remote workers who want stability in their costs. Quito's Historic Center is one of the best preserved colonial cores in South America and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Plazas, churches, and markets still operate as they did centuries ago. Cuenca combines colonial charm with modern comfort and is repeatedly ranked among the most affordable retirement cities in the world. Artisans here continue the craft behind the world-famous Panama hat, a tradition born in Ecuador, not Panama. The weaving technique was declared Intangible Cultural Heritage of Humanity by UNESCO in 2012, recognizing the skill passed down for generations in towns like Cuenca and Monte Cristi. Ecuador is also called the land of volcanoes, and the Avenue of Volcanoes offers some of the most accessible high peaks on Earth. Chimborazo rises more than 20,000 feet and is technically the closest point on the planet to the sun. Cotopaxi is one of the highest active volcanoes in the world, attracting climbers year-round. Cayambe straddles the equator and supplies fresh water to nearby cities through its glaciers. Antisana provides much of Quito's drinking water, a volcano that's as practical as it is impressive. Pichincha, towering over the capital, can be reached by cable car that climbs to over 13,000 feet. And Tungurahua, beside the town of Baños, powers a booming adventure industry of hot springs, rafting, and mountain treks. Go east into the Amazon basin, where eco-lodges with guided jungle tours start under $50 a night. Head west to the Pacific, where surf towns like Montañita mix nightlife with golden beaches, and whale-watching tours cost less than $25. Between them, the cloud forests of Mindo are a birdwatcher's paradise, holding world records for species counted in a single day. And then, the crown jewel, the Galapagos Islands. Charles Darwin's visit here in the 19th century helped shape the theory of evolution. Today, the islands remain a living museum of giant tortoises, marine iguanas, and volcanic landscapes rising from the Pacific. Visiting the Galapagos can be expensive, but mainland Ecuador is so affordable that travelers often save money there to make the dream of the islands possible. All this variety, packed into a nation smaller than Nevada, makes Ecuador feel like an entire continent in miniature. Culturally rich, naturally diverse, and unforgettable. Peru is hands down one of the most bucket list-worthy affordable countries you can visit. Flights from the United States average around $450 to $600 round trip. Daily budget? Just $35 to $45 a day. Covers food, hostels, and local buses. Proof that legendary experiences don't need legendary prices. Safety? Tourist hubs like Cusco, Lima's Miraflores, and Arequipa are considered secure zones for visitors. Of course, Machu Picchu is the big star, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the new 7 wonders of the world. But here's what most people overlook. Peru is not just Machu Picchu. Cusco, once the capital of the Inca Empire, feels like a city built on layers of time. Inca stone walls anchor Spanish plazas, and markets overflow with textiles woven in colors as bright as the Andes themselves, sometimes sold for as little as $10. The Sacred Valley stretches out like a tapestry of terraces and rivers, carrying centuries of history in its soil. And then there is Vinicunca, the Rainbow Mountain. At more than 17,000 feet, it is one of the highest treks accessible to travelers. Its stripes of red, green, gold, and violet were carved by minerals like iron, copper, and sulfur, painting the slope as if the earth itself had become an artist. In Quechua, Vinicunca means mountain of colors, and standing there feels like stepping into a natural masterpiece. The Amazon basin covers more than half the country, where eco-lodges near Iquitos or Puerto Maldonado start under $50 a night. Along the coast, surf towns like Mancora offer warm water and nightlife, with hostels from just $15. And then there's the food, one of the richest culinary traditions in the world, at street prices. A bowl of fresh ceviche in Lima can cost less than $5, tangy with lime and chili. Local menus del dia bring soup, a main dish, and a drink for under $3. In Arequipa, the white volcanic stone glows at sunset as you taste rocoto relleno, fiery, flavorful, and unforgettable. Beyond that, Lake Titicaca shimmers with floating reed islands that feel like rafts of time. The Nazca lines stretch across the desert as if written for the sky, and Colca Canyon, twice as deep as the Grand Canyon, lets you watch condors glide in circles, guardians of the Andes. Peru is a land of empires, flavors, and horizons, where history and nature meet, and still one of the best bargains on Earth. Now, here's the controversial part. Colombia is one of the cheapest, most exciting countries in South America. Yet, thanks to certain TV shows, many travelers still picture Pablo Escobar when they hear the name. The reality on the ground is very different. Today, Colombia is a nation of transformation, culture, and color. Round-trip flights from Miami can be found as low as $300 to $400. Daily budget, about $35 to $45 a day, covers hostels, buses, and hearty meals in Medellin, Cartagena, or Bogotá. When it comes to safety, Colombia's major cities have designated tourist zones that are considered secure. The U.S. advisory mainly warns against remote border regions. For most travelers, Colombia today feels more like a country rediscovering its rhythm than the stereotypes of the past. Cartagena dazzles with Caribbean beaches and walled streets painted in pastel colors. Fresh seafood lunches can cost under $10. Its historic center is a UNESCO World Heritage Site with massive stone walls and fortifications that once protected the city during the height of Spain's colonial trade. In Medellin, once infamous, the transformation is striking. A city of innovation with cable cars connecting the hills, spring-like weather all year, and a digital nomad scene where co-working spaces cost less than $10 a day. Just 2 hours away lies Guatapé, famous for its brightly painted houses, and the monolith El Peñol. Climbing more than 700 steps rewards you with one of the best views in Colombia. Bogotá, at over 8,000 feet, blends colonial plazas with world-class museums, and a cup of strong Colombian coffee rarely costs more than $2. And when it comes to food, Colombia is as generous as it is affordable. Arepas sold on street corners for less than $1, or the iconic bandeja paisa, a mountain of rice, beans, meat, and plantain, often under $8. Enough to keep any traveler fueled for a day of exploring. Nature takes center stage too. Caño Cristales in Meta, often called the River of Five Colors, or the river that escaped from paradise, glows red, green, and yellow between June and November thanks to aquatic plants. Tayrona National Park combines jungle trails and turquoise bays, where a short hike leads you from rainforest to Caribbean beaches. And for thrill seekers, yes, you can go paragliding over Medellin for under $50, soaring above red-tiled rooftops and mountainsides. Colombia is no longer a story of its past. It is a country of reinvention, where value meets vibrancy, and where every traveler finds a reason to stay longer than planned. Here's something most travelers don't realize. Bolivia is probably the cheapest country in South America. Flights may cost more, around $650 to $800 round trip, but once you're there, costs drop dramatically. Daily budget? Just $25 to $35 a day, covers hostels, buses, and meals. The exchange rate is strongly in favor of the US dollar, making it one of the best value destinations for Americans. La Paz, the world's highest capital at more than 11,000 feet, offers a unique urban experience. Its network of cable cars doubles as public transport and a tourist attraction, with rides costing less than $1. Street markets sell textiles and local food for just a few dollars. And the Witches Market reflects Andean traditions that remain part of daily life. The Salar de Uyuni is Bolivia's most famous site, the largest salt flat in the world. In the dry season, it looks like an endless sheet of white. During the rains, it becomes a giant natural mirror. Tours across the flat start at around $25, often including transport and guides. Bolivia's geography is highly diverse. The Andes offer high-altitude treks at lower costs than neighboring countries. The Eduardo Avaroa Reserve is known for colored lagoons filled with flamingos, while the eastern lowlands hold Madidi National Park, one of the most biodiverse regions on Earth, with affordable eco-lodge stays. Cultural heritage is also strong. Sucre, the constitutional capital, preserves whitewashed streets and colonial architecture that speak of centuries of history. Potosi, once a global hub of silver mining, shows how the Spanish Empire was fueled by Andean resources. And the Oruro Carnival, one of South America's most important festivals, fills the streets with traditional dances, masks, and music. Digital nomad infrastructure is limited, but for travelers seeking adventure and maximum value, Bolivia remains unmatched. Here's the secret budget travelers already know. Brazil can be affordable if you travel smart. Flights average around $550 to $750 round trip from major US cities. Daily budget? About $40 to $55 a day in Rio de Janeiro, Salvador, or Sao Paulo, covering hostels, meals, and public transport. Safety? Stick to tourist zones like Copacabana, Ipanema, and Salvador's historic center, where travelers find vibrant culture at reasonable prices. Yes, Brazil is famous for carnival, samba, and the Amazon, but for budget travelers, it also delivers. Overnight buses that connect vast regions for less than $50. Street food like pão de queijo or coxinha for just a couple of dollars, and local dishes such as feijoada or moqueca, often under $8. Hostels and guest houses across the country keep even the most iconic cities affordable. Rio de Janeiro delivers the postcard scenes, the beaches of Copacabana, the colorful Celeron steps, and the climb to Christ the Redeemer, one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Salvador, Brazil's colonial gem, shines with bright painted houses, capoeira circles, and the constant rhythm of Afro-Brazilian drums. Sao Paulo, the continent's largest city, surprises travelers with free museums, massive markets, and a food scene where every budget finds a feast. And then there's Brasilia, the capital, a planned city designed by Oscar Niemeyer, where sweeping boulevards and futuristic architecture still feel like a vision of tomorrow. Nature here is vast and unmatched. The Amazon rainforest, covering more than half the country, can be explored through budget jungle lodges and boat tours that cost far less than travelers expect. To the south, Iguazu Falls, shared with Argentina, unleashes more than 250 waterfalls through subtropical jungle, and entry fees remain modest. The Pantanal, the largest wetland in the world, offers some of the best wildlife viewing anywhere, from jaguars to macaws, with tours priced far below African safaris. And in the northeast, Lençóis Maranhenses transforms during the rainy season into a surreal desert of white dunes and turquoise lagoons, one of the continent's most unique landscapes. And of course, there are the beaches, thousands of miles of them, from surf towns in Santa Catarina to remote stretches in the northeast, many completely free. So here's the truth. South America is not just for luxury travelers. With planning, you can explore it for less than $50 a day. Food, transport, culture, and world-class nature included. From the quiet streets of Uruguay to the endless beaches of Brazil, this is a continent where adventure and affordability walk hand in hand. This is World Adventure OS, the operating system for global wonder. Like what you saw? Give it a like. And to keep traveling with us, subscribe and turn on alerts.